When I was 15 years old, I got my very first boyfriend. Very young. I was young for my grade. So while I was 15, everybody else was 16. And he was older. He was 16 or 17, maybe a grade above. I can't remember at this point. And it was, wow. It was definitely the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life, even to today. Like, even with all the struggles, because of how vulnerable I was. You know, I've been through technically worse things at an older age, but I was more equipped to deal with those things, right? When you are 16 years old, 15 years old, 17 years old, and it is a first on every level, oh man, it'll take you to your studs. And he was horribly emotionally abusive to me. When I reflect back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to survive high school. Genuinely. Like, that was I'll never forget sitting with my teacher, one of my teachers, which was like one of my only real outlets. She was this amazing teacher. I won't name names. She knows who she is. I've reached out to her. She was at my high school, and I would sit with her during lunch in the classroom, and she was like my safe space, and she would help me. But I was trapped. I didn't know how to get out. And man, I don't really know how that even unfolded, because I have children now, and I'm like, how does a child get into that situation? But it's silent. It is a silent killer. Abusive relationships can be very silent killers. And what's scary is the amount of people that have been through it and you don't know it. They've never talked about it. Maybe they haven't even admitted it entirely. Or how many of us have watched someone we love at the hands of this disgusting, horrible opposite of love, right? And I will never forget, Jamie, I swear on whatever God I define as what I believe in. I will never forget, I was 17 years old and the relationship was ending, and I thought I was dying. I literally thought I was dying. And I was on a flight home, back home to Salt Lake City. And I was in the most pain physically, mentally. I didn't even know what spirituality was. So whatever that was at the time. And I heard a voice in my head. I don't know whose voice it was. And I'm a sane person, so this was not like a mental illness of any kind. I heard a voice clear as day, and it said, this will be your life's purpose. You will prevent 17-year-old women from this pain. Like, it was a clear as day voice. And it basically said, this will all make sense one day. Like, I have chills thinking about it. And it basically said, like, you are going to go on a crusade to help other women in these relationships. And I didn't know what it meant. I was 17 years old. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was literally going crazy. But I remember it so vividly. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And all these years later, enter Tinder, enter another traumatic situation. These patterns that we're all in patterns until we break them. And my pattern was broken when I laid on that ground, literally on the bath mat after Tinder. And I said, oh my God, this is it. I am going to course correct this whole thing. I'm going to create a positive social network. I'm going to harness technology for good. I'm going to help the 13, 15, 17-year-old girl who is in a toxic relationship, is getting abused on the internet, is being treated the way I've just experienced directly. And I'm going to take what almost killed me, and I'm going to make us stronger. And that was the moment. And that was what the intention, which I want to really emphasize this. Life is about two things: intention and attention. The intention we set, as your beautiful, magical friend Oprah will say, is the foundation of everything. But it can't stop there. You have to give it extreme attention and focus and persistence and care and water it all day long, nurture it all day long, or that intention can't grow, it can't thrive. But I can tell you, the intention behind Bumble is pure. It is good. It was never about revenge. It was never about a vendetta. never not once. And I can live and die by that. And that's the difference between something taking on a beautiful life of its own and something being a force for evil in the world.
That voice that came to you clear as day that you heard. And now at 35, what do you think that voice was? Who do you think that was?
It's my higher self. It is my higher self. And we all have it. It's all in us. We just build walls around it. And they're soundproof. You can't hear it. You can't feel it. You can kind of feel it. It kicks and screams at the wall, and you can get that like feeling in your tummy, and you're like, oh, what was that? You know, that's your higher self talking to you through your belly, through your heart. But we drown it out.
Did it sound like a man or a woman or indescribable?
You know, it's so interesting. It had male energy, but it wasn't, I don't know if I would say, oh, that was a man's voice. But I can't also say like, oh, that was like my grandma. I can't attribute it to like a person.
Yeah.
It almost felt like a higher calling, like a spiritual message. Now, upon reflection, at the time, if you told me that was a spiritual message, I'd be like, okay. You know, I had such a disdain for spirituality growing up because I didn't recognize the distinction between spirituality and religion. And I'd been brought up in a very strange religious dynamic. I had a Jewish family raising me on my dad's side of the family. I had a Catholic family raising me on my mom's side of the family. And then I was in a very, very strict Mormon community. If you had a Coke, you were going to hell.
In Utah.
Oh, you're going to hell, like burning fire hell. And if you didn't have a Coke, like you'd probably meet the gates of heaven. But then in Judaism and Catholicism, like these were different constructs. And so I kind of always was like, this all feels like it's saying different things. But I think the meaning of all of this is like trust and love, right? Isn't that the center of it?
Did you believe in a God or a higher power at that point at 17? Or did you believe there wasn't one and then you heard that voice?
I think I did not believe there was one, but I will say, like you, I don't know how it was for you as a child. I was born very intuitive.
Yeah.
I have gotten what I call downloads or premonitions my whole life. My whole life. I mean, I have spoken to family members like, oh, you said this thing when you were 7 and then it happened the next day. Like, it's just part of who I am.
Yeah.
And I think we all are capable of it. It's just how far open have we allowed ourselves to be? But I think my abilities had outpaced my belief, right? Like I was operating beyond what I believed was possible. And so I just shut it down. I was like, that's not possible. That's just crazy. But no, I think there were moments along the way that started to open me up. And now I would consider myself, I would say spirituality is one of my number one core life priorities. And when it's nurtured, I'm in an alignment. And when it's not, like when that spiritual plug comes out of the wall, I'm like, oh, whoa, where are we? I'm off kilter. So I've got to stay plugged in. And that has to, you got to keep that electric cord plugged in. And meditation, nature, genuine connection, those are the recipes for that, in my opinion.
2 things on that. I just had a family member, I won't say who has not believed in a higher power. And she just had the most profound experience, like to her shock.
What happened?
Where she felt like she heard God talking to her. And she is just kind of shook over it. She tried to tell other family members who also don't believe. And I think they just kind of like, oh, okay.
What did she hear?
What was it? It was something about something going on in her personal life. And it was just very clear. She's never believed. And I won't say her age or people will figure it out. She has never believed her whole life. And she's now absolutely certain that it was God talking to her. And she's around people that don't believe. So it's a real interesting spot for her to be in.
It's profound.
But I am not surprised that happened to you at 17. When you, meaning that you heard, like you had a download like that, when you and I, one of our conversations we've had earlier in our friendship, I will never forget just like listening to you talk, and you were saying a lot of things about me in this conversation. And I'm like, oh, wow. like I feel like you're so deeply connected, energetically, intuitively, spiritually, and you have this gift of seeing people. You have a
Thank you,
gift of
Jamie.
seeing people. And I remember just being so inspired by that and also feeling so connected to you very fast, which is not normal for me because I felt like, oh, wow, this is a whole other situation of vibration. I was just
wow.
like, and it was really, so hearing that you've, kind of gotten downloads and been tuned in even before you knew what it was your whole life. Not surprised at all by that. And I think, seeing everything with Bumble, I know, I want to just touch on this really quick because there's going to be people that, had an idea and they went for it and it didn't work, or they, oh my gosh, with cosmetics, especially right before, there were so many different things I tried and didn't work, and no one,
Right.
all the things. And it doesn't mean they weren't great ideas. And it doesn't mean that, the next thing you go for isn't going to happen, right? There's so many people that have sent their book out to 25 publishers. They've all said no. Does not mean the 26th one is not going to say yes. And can you just touch briefly upon, this idea of, how can you use everything that you've gone through from your teenage years, through your time at Tinder, through coming out of all that, having that huge realization on the floor, of how you're going to use it all for us collectively. It wasn't just the first idea that happened with Bumble, right? You had this other idea with Merci, and I just want you to touch on it so that people, because so many people listening and watching, they're only ever even going to know about Bumble, right? And think, oh, wow, Whitney had an idea. It was easy. It just instantly happened. But you've had many amazing ideas, and I think Merci was very cool. And I know there was Moxie. There's other things, but can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I think you said it perfect. It's like the 27th person might respond, right? And this is so the symbolism of your story is like, had you given up on the 1,000th time, right before that final yes, like if you had accepted the no, we wouldn't be here today. But there's a distinction here that I think is important for people. I always ask people, what's the why? Like, why are you doing it? Like, what is the bigger, what can this do for people? Like, what is this solving? What are you solving for? And I think where a lot of people should ask themselves and get self-reflective when they have businesses, maybe it's not going the right way. I think I would encourage people to say, who is this serving? Who is this helping? Because I really do believe that every great innovation, every great business, every great, breakthrough in medicine or in science, it's not driven out of randomness. Most of it is driven out of some type of heartbreak or deep dissatisfaction. Someone knew somebody that tragically got sick with a rare disease, and it destroyed their lives. And it spurred them to go and, find a cure. And while they lost the person in their lives, which is devastating, maybe there's millions of people around the world in current day and in the future that will be spared because of that. And so I think intention, coming back to intention, like, why are you doing what you're doing? And I fundamentally believe that the right intention will give you energy. It won't take it from you. So even though you're drained and even though that you're exhausted by the no's, like, you've got it in you to just go that one more step. It's the perseverance, right? It's having the purpose beyond me or I or just my own needs. And you're a perfect example of this. So I think my big push to anybody that feels like they're in setback, if they can say with sincerity that what they're doing is serving the greater good of humanity, whether it's even only 10 people a year are predicted to get this disease, that is still important. Someone is still going to suffer without what you're doing, without the thing you're doing. You've got to keep going. But if you're doing it because you wanted to start a business and you wanted to make money, wrong. Stop. Reset. Why are you doing what you're doing? And that is my belief. Like, there is no such thing worth fighting for that only serves ourselves. That's my firm belief.
It's so good. I feel so strongly exactly what you just said. And I feel like our body tells us too, like if it's in alignment with what we're supposed to be doing. And it's been an interesting journey having this show and this podcast, because there have been some incredibly fascinating people that have come on. And one thing I've learned is when someone comes on and they share something with the pure intention to get a bunch of press or get headlines, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if the underlying intention isn't to add value to the person listening at home, or to have a shared experience, or to make their life better, or to be about something bigger than themselves, it's interesting how different it feels to me.
That's right.
Like you could feel it.
In your tummy, yeah.
Yeah. And one takes your energy and doesn't feel good, and the other gives you so much, has me jumping out of my seat. That's right. Because I know how many people it's helping. And it's so interesting. I think too, like for everyone listening, that's how they know, are you in the right job? Are you in the right relationship? Are you know what I mean? Like, what do you feel like? Does it give you energy, or is it, or not,
That's right.
Or not?
Energy is everything. I mean, we are literally made of it. And there's things that take it and there's things that replenish it. And, it's interesting. Bumble has been wildly covered in the media. And I cannot tell you, Jamie, how many people have called me and been like, okay, what's your press strategy? Like, what agencies did you use? Like, who was the best person that like wrote your press releases? And I'm like, okay, let me be clear. Yes, we've had kick-ass people on our team. This is the pure intention of the business. It wrote itself. True, genuine intentionality behind anything, it's the authenticity that actually matters. And so we started this conversation today. You're like, you're an open book. How are you an open book? I'm telling you right now that authenticity is the only frequency for me. Yeah. Like you just have to be authentic. And that doesn't mean you have to pour your heart out. You can be guarded. You can be private. I think we can all have our own boundaries for what work for us. That's our prerogative. And it's also our needs. Like we all have to define what works for us as individuals. But what I do think is going to come out in the coming years, and we're already seeing the shift with media, with influencers, with everything, like authenticity can't be engineered. It can't be written. It can't be faked. It is genuinely, it has to be real. And that's why I always say, like, take me with all my flaws, all my weaknesses, all of my scratches and all of the battle wounds. Like, you're going to get me at the end of the day. And if that doesn't work for you, then like, that's okay. This is the train I'm on. This is where I'm going. And I think we should all just be trying to be our highest versions of ourselves. It's interesting, Jamie, I wrote myself an email this summer. Bumble stock had hit its all-time low. And the internet fodder was like, Bumble's dead and what a joke and da-da-da-da. I mean, like, if I was attached to headlines or ego, it would have been a dark day. Let's just put it that way. But I'm so free of that now. I wrote myself an email and I said, today is one of the best days of my life because I can actually tell you with certainty, because I'm living it, net worth, accolades, all the external things does not equal happiness. It does not equal self-worth. And I wrote all the reasons why I'm happy, all the beautiful gifts. My children are safe. They're healthy. Thank God. I love myself, not because I'm a narcissist or I'm obsessed with myself, but because we all should love ourselves, because we should all give ourselves grace. And we are enough. All of us are enough. Each and every one of us, whoever we are and however we are. And I think when you can actually just say that out loud, like all is okay. And I literally wrote that letter to myself on a day that should have been perceived as a bad day. I got 100 texts. Are you okay, babe? Are you okay? Can I do anything for you? And I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm outside. I'm looking at the trees. Everything is fine. So I think, if we can all get to a place where we don't build businesses for the validation or the recognition, that's actually, first of all, when it comes, That's when you start getting recognized.
Yeah.
Because you're not seeking it. It's exactly what you said.
Mm. You know, that's so powerful. That's such a good tool for everyone to put in your toolbox too, because I think it's for so many people a lifelong journey if they've even started it yet.
Yep.
To realize those things, and then to also just be like, okay, my self-worth is not attached to like external circumstances.
No.
I want to talk to everyone at home right now who has a dream or an idea or, you know, a vision for something in the future. And I feel and know that entrepreneurs, like we can take inspiration and, you know, and get ideas from some of the most, you know, varying of things. And can you share a little bit, Whitney, about your obsession with Disney
Yes.
growing
yeah,
up?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was totally obsessed with Walt Disney, not Disney, the brand. I loved the brand, but I wasn't like trying to, I wasn't obsessed with Disney in a traditional sense. Let me explain that.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Walt Disney. I was completely obsessed with Walt Disney. I was fascinated that a human being could use their mind and imagine something and create a dream world. I was completely mesmerized by the capability of the human mind and then the ability of someone to execute on that. So I remember sitting in class as a little girl and I would do the same W as Walt Disney for my name, for Whitney Wolfe. And so I probably have 1,000 notebooks from when I was a child, like elementary school, where I'm doing the same signature as Walt Disney, Whitney Wolfe, because it was Walt with that W. And I wanted the same W. I was like, what a magical creature. My high school yearbook quote was, I don't have it memorized, but something like, if you can dream it, you can do it. Like this all started with a mouse and a dream, right? Something along those lines. Okay. And I will say, like, I've always been a dreamer, always been a dreamer. And I was just so inspired that someone could take a dream and what I like to call a download or an inspiration or whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. And then really turn it into something that others can enjoy or get value from. And so as I reflect now as a 35-year-old woman sitting here with you, the fact that the little girl drawing the Walt Disney signature can say that there's like babies out in the world
Yes.
that are running around and living in beautiful, sweet, happy families because of a product I helped create. You know, that's like pretty rewarding. And I know you have the same ability to say the same thing. And so I guess the message I would have for people is like, I was just a little girl in Salt Lake City, Utah, trying to scribble my name after Walt Disney. Like, inspiration and mentors matter. Like, seeing things that inspire us matter. And so I think my point is like, get inspired. Watch this show with everybody you bring on. Like, you know, read about people that have defeated their own odds, and that energy does kind of impart on us, and we can do it too.
I am so excited for this episode today with my amazing friend, founder and CEO of Bumble, Whitney Wolfe Herd. These next few minutes together today with you, me, and Whitney are going to be so magical, so buckle up because today's episode is for you.